What's that you say? I can't interest you in a red version? Well, how about a blue version? Aha! This is the Transformers Studio Series KSI Sentry, and he will be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, and me everywhere. Now you might be asking yourself, hey GotBot, why are you sitting there like a doofus with two of these in your hands? Well, there's a reason for it. I wanted to point out a little something about distribution. This red version is Stinger from Wave 2 of the Studio Series, and I reviewed him a long time ago on April 20th, if I'm not mistaken, in episode 390. Now, almost 11 months later, 11 months, I have this guy, the blue version, which is the KSI Sentry reuse of this mold that was in Wave 4. That means that in pretty much one calendar year, we had one wave released, Wave 3. And it took us this long to get Wave 4, when there are places right now that are beginning to see Wave 6? Really? So now we're 2 waves behind in my neck of the woods? I think that is awful distribution, and for anybody to say, hey, we aren't aware of any distribution problems, how can you not be? How can you not be? There is like such a variation across the world that it's incredible. In fact, I've even heard of a couple of places where Wave 7 is eking out. We're just now getting Wave 4. In fact, as of this recording, I picked this guy up about 3-4 days ago, roughly. The kind of very beginning of March 1st, 2nd, about that. I think that's unacceptable. The distribution should be better. Just saying. Nevertheless, taking that out of it and stopping with my griping, what's this guy actually like? You see, I was going to kind of skip him, except Starscream Fiance said, the blue looks so cool. Well, sometimes in the past, she has thought better about figures that I was going to skip, and I've been quite happy to get them. Case in point, I was not going to pick up the Generations Sandstorm a long time ago, and that's a great figure. She thought it looked cool, I picked it up, happy I did. I was going to skip the Titans Return Sky Shadow. She thought it looked cool, she picked it up. Glad she did. That's a fantastic figure. Well, here is another case in point, and I kind of trust her intuition with this. And if you didn't like Stinger, you're probably not going to like this guy. If you did like Stinger, you're probably going to like this guy. If your only problem with Stinger was that he was red, well, maybe blue is, something you like better. I will say this. Because I showed the conversion going from the way he comes in package, robot to vehicle, in episode 390 with Stinger, I figured this time around, let's do the reverse and go from vehicle back to robot, just so you can see the transformation going in the other direction, because it's the exact same thing. About the only real difference that we need to discuss here is besides the color, is this accessory here. Is it a harpoon? I don't even know what this is. I don't. And I don't know if I really like it. Anyway, enough of me babbling on about this guy. Let's head over to the table and take a closer look at him. And so here we have Studio Series 23, Wave 4's KSI Sentry. And in essence, it's a blue version of this guy. And of course, I mean Stinger. The only real difference is that Stinger has a bit of extra silver down on the door that the KSI Sentry lacks, and there's some black on Stinger's hood with a Decepticon symbol. The KSI Sentry lacks that. And of course, the accessories are different. Stinger comes with those 4 ninja stars. I don't know what they are. And the KSI Sentry comes with this thing. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's one of his accessories. And speaking of which, maybe we should kind of rewind here ever so slightly and begin as we always do with a quick look at the box. And here, of course, we have the box. It's fine artwork of a KSI Sentry on it. You see a close-up on this side. Very Biocon, like Transformers Prime Biocon-esque type of face. Over here, like a nice kind of art shot, body image, so to speak, of, you know, I guess an artist rendering of what the character would be like. I don't know. I don't even know if this guy actually appeared in the film or not. On the back, of course, we have the product shots, and normally up here we have the one-line bio, but in this case it's kind of just describing the line, saying, hey, how the studio series is, you know, movie scale and accurate and blah blah blah. So we don't even really get the one-line bio for this guy. So that being said, I'm going to sort of use this guy now to answer the B squared challenge by Masterfire, a good friend of the channel, and that was the Build-A-Bot challenge. And while I think the crux of it was to do a lot of customization, the real big rule was that you create a new character and give him a bio. So, that being said, from this point forward, I'm going to refer to this guy simply as Sentry. He is a Decepticon. He originally was built from the same body model as Blur and competed in races on Velocitron. He and Blur were not only rivals, but if one didn't win a race, the other certainly did. Both were quite revered, but Sentry had a even stronger competitive streak than Blur. So much so that in one championship race, he actually tampered with the fuel supply of the other racers, Blur included. 3 of the racers' sparks went offline. Blur's almost did as well. When it was discovered that the tampering had taken place and who was behind it, it was decided that his body would be dismantled and his spark would be held in a prison. Well, this did in fact happen, but one of the residents of Velocitron still revered the Sentry. That resident was a young racer by the name of Stinger. And he actually broke into the prison. He retrieved the spark of the Sentry and left the planet. Seeking refuge, he found the Decepticons and explained to them how he had the spark of a top-notch racer, someone who could act quickly, who was excellent at espionage, who was both fast and stealthy, skillful and speedy. Shockwave quickly determined that the best way to take advantage of the Sentry was to find a new body for that spark. And who better to provide such a sleek, agile form but Stinger himself? As such, the body makeup of Stinger was cloned by Shockwave, and the spark of the Sentry was embedded therein. And as such, we have the rebirth of the Sentry, now allied with the Decepticons, and seeking not only to once again prove that he is the fastest vehicle in all the cosmos, but to seek revenge against Blur and the other residents of Velocitron for his captivity. There you go, Masterfire. I hope that kind of fills the bill for a bio for the Build-A-Bot challenge. Nevertheless, this is what we have for the box. And, of course, inside the box we have these instructions. I don't know, they're all right. They're as good or bad as Stinger's were, so it depends on if you thought they were good or not. He also comes with his Hong Kong pursuit battle scene, where you could, I guess, take him in robot mode or even in vehicle mode, and I don't know, put him there for display if you want. It's a nice option if you have the space to do it. And the last thing that he comes with was something that I already mentioned, and that, of course, is this thing. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what this is, like a harpoon type of thing. Now I'm holding onto it by a 5mm peg. That of course can go in his hand. That being said, there's also, and I'll point this out now, there's also a rectangular peg right there. That rectangular peg can go slotted down into, I don't know if I can show it here or not, slide down to a hole like back right here, rectangular rectangular hole back right there. And that's how you store it in vehicle mode, so that it looks like this. I don't know, does that look any good? I don't think that looks particularly good. Starscream Fiance probably said it best. What you should do is put them in vehicle mode and take this and just lay it aside. Now what about scores for Sentry here? Well, the very first score is going to be his paint apps. And honestly, it's the only score that's going to be different from Stinger's. And I said that Stinger's paint, back in episode 390, I said that Stinger's paint was an 8. I thought it was generally accurate. It did have certain liberties taken. It did need certain other details added, but it was all right. This guy, I don't know. 10 if you like blue. You know, some people might mistake him for Dropkick, the you know, vehicle version of Dropkick. I could sort of understand why somebody might. It's a good troop builder. There you go. It's a good troop builder. So, I don't know, we'll say 10. I like blue. I don't have anything against it. Then we get to articulation and conversion. Well, we're going to do the conversion first, and we're going to go from vehicle mode back to robot mode this time, because we already looked at robot to vehicle when we looked at Stinger. So this probably isn't going to be too bad, because I feel like going from vehicle to robot is actually the easier way to go with this guy. And so now we're going to get into the conversion, and I'm going to tell you, it's ingenious, but it's not necessarily easy. Now, first thing to note is that this guy does not roll great because of this is kind of sectioned down right here. And the funny part is, like, I get why those 4 things were there with Stinger, because he had to have those like Ninja Star pieces on it. I don't understand why they're here with this guy. They're useless. There's no point in having them like pinned in there. If there's a way to remove them, I might, because they're just obnoxious, to be honest with you. You'll see what I mean as we get him in robot mode. Now, speaking of getting him in robot mode, he really does sort of elongate, so we might have to do this kind of in sections in order to show everything. So, from here, we begin by picking off the roof kind of from this side over here. Is it this side? I think it's this side. I hope it's this side. Maybe it's this side. Aha! Sorry, I pick it off from this side here. It's connected to one of the arms. Obviously, you can only pick it off from one side. It's important to do that first because it frees the arms up a little bit. The other thing that you want to do first is pick up these front fender sections. Now, ideally, they should slide up and slide down. They don't on mine. The tolerance is super duper duper tight. So I find I need to actually pick them off, and it's not easy to do. I don't know why the tolerance on this is so challenging, but it really, really is. Pick that all the way up to the side. I'm trying to slide it up. Again, like I can't. I'm going to break something if I try to slide it up. I may sand down this section and this section a little bit, but ideally you should get both of those front fenders off and the roof section off so that your vehicle looks like this, so you can sort of take the arm sections and bring them all the way out to the side. You can see right now things are starting to go off screen. We need to reorient. Okay, so hopefully now we can focus on his legs, because that's what we have to do next. Now, that being said, take these arms and put them kind of down by his side. There is a gray hinge in here. It's a shoulder. You want to put them down and then rotate the arm forward. Trust me, doing this now will save you headaches later on. So put that down and bring the whole arm forward. Now we'll deal with the lower body next. For the lower body, you want to lift the legs out from the side and bring them all the way down. When you bring them all the way down, you can flip out the toe sections and you can come to the back and flip down what is essentially his trunk, and it flips down to become his shins. And last but not least, the kind of center of where his trunk was, you come up here and you push that and it back to become kind of his pelvis. And again, you see, we're gone off screen. We need to reorient yet again. And golly, for such a little guy, he does get quite tall here. Now, we have the lower body done. We unfurl the legs, we flip down the the hood. We, poked in his little pelvic piece there. We have the shoulders this way. Why do we have the shoulders and arms facing this way? Because we need to rotate the entire hood section here. So we come to this hood section and the whole thing rotates, but now it's not super nice doing it. You have this, you remember that section I said was just cumbersome and useless? You have that section, you need to get it out of the way so that the arms can swing around and you can kind of get the hood down under the windshield and roof. Once you have the hood down under the windshield and roof, you can take the windshield and roof and bring it all the way down. And finally, we could start to bring things in a bit closer and reorient ourselves yet again. Okay, and thankfully we are almost done. The legs are down, the body has now been compacted, we need to deal with the arms and the chest. So we bring this shoulder down. Now what a lot of people mistakenly do is they do not push things all the way. You have to push that tire all the way back so that this chest comes out. Bring this arm down. You have to push, again, the tire all the way in so that the chest comes all the way out. Then you can take this whole piece, rotate it around, and bring it down. It will fit properly into position. A lot of people say there's a big space left there. It's because you have not turned the chest enough. The tire should kind of be in behind the chest if you have them turned all the way, and then that allows the next section of the head to fit down very nicely. Then we come to the roof and we bring that out to the side and we close it up. We orient the arm and we kind of bring the shoulder piece down over the shoulder. On the other side, we bring the shoulder piece down over the shoulder, we orient the arm. Now, the cumbersome piece that I was talking about, that we had to sort of try and swing around, is these four sections back here. I understand why they're there on Stinger. There's no need of them here on this guy. They serve absolutely no purpose. All they are is a hindrance. Why they got included is beyond me. Maybe so you could include some of the ninja stars from Stinger. I don't know, but I don't like them. I don't think they were necessary at all. But in the end, boom, here you have the robot mode, which is rather nice. His head sculpt, I absolutely dig. However, before looking at the head sculpt, for anybody that was still confused on what I was talking about that was cumbersome and useless, you can see here on Stinger we have four kind of little armatures on the back, and we have four ninja stars, I'm calling them ninja stars, I don't know what they are, on there. We have the same four armatures on Sentry, but for what? There's nothing there. You don't even store his accessory on there. There's absolutely no point of it. I'll show where his accessory stores momentarily. You can also see that we do have a very different head sculpt. On the Sentry, it looks more like a biocon. On Stinger, well, it looks like Stinger. But you'll also notice that we have the tires on both of them deep in the chest area. I might not even have them turned perfectly here, but you get the idea. If you take the time and line them up perfectly, hey, it works very nicely and you don't have any hollow bits. Now you might be wondering, hey, why do you have this guy like this? Because I struggled for a long time trying to figure out how it is that his accessory notches into place. I found that was not explained at all in the instructions. Well, in the roof section we have a little rectangular tab right there and another little one up right here. When you fold those over, they go into notches that are located up here and right here. You have to line those tabs up with those two notches for this to stay in place. And then you close the roof section around and sort of sandwich it in there so that it looks like this. This right here. It's sandwiched into position. I can't really show wrapping the roof around it. I could just show you the tabs and the notches and you have to wrap it around and fit them in. It's as simple as that. It's very secure once it's done. It's a pain kind of figuring out how to do it. Of course, that finally brings us to his robot mode. And what about his robot mode? If he was getting a 10 for his paint apps, what about the conversion? Well, it's Definitely complicated, and it's definitely involved, but it's very interesting and in a lot of ways kind of elegant. I said that the transformation for Stinger was a 10. I think it's a 10 for this guy too. It's not for kids. It's definitely for collectors. Kids are not going to find this fun. They're probably going to find it quite challenging. Some who have experience with Transformers will definitely figure it out. Anybody who is like moderate to novice, or novice to moderate, I guess I should say, is not going to be able to figure this out. I'm not even going to pretend otherwise. But I have to say it's 10. I think that for as small as this is, it is genius, and parts do not pop off. That being said, I find the tolerances on this guy are tighter than they are, oddly, on Stinger. Especially when it comes to the two front fenders. I find those tolerances, the whole thing, all the joints, the way they tab in, everything, to be very, very tight. So he was getting a 10 and a 10. So far it's a perfect figure. What about the articulation? Well, the articulation is pretty good. Are there things that could be improved? Yeah, maybe a couple, but it's not bad. The head, it can go, you know, left and right. He can kind of look up and down, but when he looks up, like you're kind of breaking the sculpt there. This arm, it can go all the way around, and if you have this angled out, he can get his shoulder all the way out. You could, I mean, leave it up straight if you wanted. You can do whatever you want with these shoulder things, but I put them in this orientation so that I get the extra like shoulder articulation. On this side, same thing, goes all the way out. 90-degree elbow, bicep swivel. The arm can go all the way around. We don't have a wrist. We have, do we have a waist? We don't seem to have a waist. I couldn't remember if we did or if we didn't. We don't seem to have a waist, so like a waist would have been nice. We have hips that can go all the way out to the side again. We have a leg forward, a leg back. We have like a thigh swivel, but I think it's built around the ball joint maybe. Maybe, or maybe it's mushroom, maybe it's a mushroom peg in behind the molding. Either way, it's seamless and it works really nicely. We have 90 degrees at the knee, if I didn't already say that. We have toe tilt down, not really forward, and we don't have any side to side. So like side to side, you know, wrist articulation, waist articulation, all that would be nice. I said that the articulation on Stinger was 8.5. He does stand like a champ, by the way. For this guy, it's 8.5. And so here we have the robot side by side. I like Stinger, I like Sentry. And if you do like this mold, then you're going to be happy with its reuse in blue. If you didn't like Stinger, then you're not going to like Sentry. It's as simple as that. It's a new head. Besides, that's the same thing. Overall, I said that Stinger was a 9 total. I'd say this guy's a 9 for me. But I can certainly understand why people would levy certain criticisms against it and why they might not be a huge fan of the mold. I've heard tell of a couple of breakage issues, especially with this neck joint. Hasn't happened to me on either one of these, and I've converted both of them many times. And I can understand how some people might say that the plastic feels thin. I think it's because this is, for a deluxe, a little bit small, about the size of Studio Series Bumblebee, which is a small deluxe, admittedly. Nevertheless, I think it works well for Stinger. I'm glad that we got an official one. I like the alt mode. I like the alt mode times 2. I like it in red. I like it in blue. It's a double win situation for me. And so here we are once again. And you know what? I like this. I like this because the articulation I think is fantastic. I thought the articulation was fantastic on Stinger. I think the conversion is really interesting and well done and well thought out and well planned. I think the same thing here because it's the exact same conversion. The accessory is it's not great, especially where it's the soft rubbery plastic. I don't know. I feel like it's going to get bent up. And I don't think we needed this piece down here. Like he doesn't come with those 4 throwing stars or whatever they are. Why do we need that? There's yes, it's a straight reuse, but I think there are a couple of slight things that could have been done to improve it. Maybe create a better kind of accessory here, and I don't know, like maybe get rid of these pieces on the bottom because they're not really needed. If anything, they just hinder his rolling a little bit. Otherwise, it's a great figure. I like the blue. If you don't like the color blue, then you're not going to like this. If you do, hey, great. As far as the head sculpt goes, I don't know. Somebody who really wasn't in the know might just call it generic. Some people might mistake it for the vehicle motive dropkick. Now, obviously, this isn't for any of us fans that are in the know, but for the casual consumer, blue car. Hey, there was a blue car in the movie. Makes sense to me. Right? I mean, you know, you got to look at the casual consumer. Nevertheless, even for those of us in the know, like I said from the very beginning here, if you didn't like Stinger, don't think this guy's going to change your mind. If you liked Stinger all right, this guy's a solid pickup. In fact, maybe two of them, you know, they can kind of flank Stinger and you have a nice little trio of, like, car seekers, so to speak, maybe. Anyway, let me know what you think about this guy, and if you bothered to get him or if you skipped him over. You know, I love to hear from you guys. I appreciate you dropping by, giving me some of your very valuable time. Please hit that subscribe button. Help me out so very, very much. And I guess that's it. The only thing left to say is I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.